Well, welcome to week 2 of our capstone, and this week we'll be talking about insurance and risk management. In analyzing our clients' insurance, we typically do that in combination with employee benefits. But when we're doing that, and this is just an overview, we want to make sure that the basics are covered in each of the areas: homeowners, auto, life, and long-term disability, and that sort of thing. And we're looking at any glaring problems or weaknesses. Are coverages adequate considering the client's situation, considering their economic life cycle? And are the client's objectives being met? Now, in studying insurance, one of the areas that I think is confusing is to try to memorize all the different types of policies. And one thing that helps me is to think about the basic policy that gets modified for the specific type of coverage. And the basic insurance policy includes declarations, definitions, the insuring agreements, including exclusions and conditions, and some miscellaneous provisions, and in that we talk about endorsements or riders. So in the declarations of an insurance policy, that is the introductory part of the policy. Who is the insured? Who's the insuring company? What is the basic type of policy? Are there different sections to the policy? What is the benefit information? When did these kick in terms of time, and any other list that might be in the declaration section? Tonight is our first of 7 weeks where we'll be going over the pieces of your written comprehensive plan. Now, I sent out a document earlier today because to let you know that I'll be giving you temporary presenter privileges this evening so that you can pull up your own slides.
Good evening, Professor Starn and fellow students. Tonight, our team is going to present to the class the comprehensive insurance plan for our new client, Reynolds family. Luke and Joanna Reynolds are a married couple. Luke is 38 years old, and Joanna is 34 years old. They have a daughter, Jacqueline, who is 5 years old. They live in Boulder, Colorado. Luke's mother and Joanna's parents are financially self-sufficient, and they do not need the Reynolds family to help them. Luke owns a small business, which is a limited liability corporation. The business offers temporary housing solutions, mostly to university students.
Good evening, everyone. I'll briefly go over their weaknesses here. Given their objectives right now, 3 out of the 7 objectives that they've identified in some way, shape, or form relate to insurance. However, in our opinion, this is probably the weakest area they have. So there's some considerable work that needs to be done. The first bullet you see there is they have no life insurance. They have some liabilities, and there is a significant level of income that needs to be replaced. So we need to develop a plan to have permanent coverage to cover those income needs, as well as temporary coverage to cover all the liabilities and all the other temporary coverages that need to be covered. Here are some of the strengths that they have. They do have health coverage, which is critical given the fact that they're having another baby here in a little bit. So that will help them cover all those needs. Their out-of-pocket costs are not going to be that much. They do have $203,000 in the checking account, so they should be able to cover any unexpected things that would happen during the pregnancy. They do have a homeowner's insurance. Again, I mentioned there was a weakness, but it's also a strength because they don't have the minimum coverage. They do have some coverage there to take care of some needs. There's just a little tweaking that needs to be done. And of course, I also mentioned that they have the liability umbrella coverage.
Okay, thanks, Ramon. I'm going to be going over our team's recommendations for the Reynolds family. Due to the specific situation that the Reynolds find themselves and the identified weaknesses as discussed by Ramon just now on a previous slide, It's imperative that Luke and Joanna upgrade their insurance plan to include a combination of term as well as permanent insurance. So we recommend for the Reynolds family a 15-year term insurance policy of at least $750,000 for Luke, naming Joanna as the beneficiary, a 15-year term policy of at least $500,000 for Joanna, naming Luke as the beneficiary, and in combination with a permanent life insurance policy of approximately $2 million. Now, the temporary insurance is important for Joanna and Luke due to some of their liabilities as a couple. If Luke were to pass on, Joanna would be left with very little income to support the two children since he's the breadwinner. So proper temporary insurance should help cover this gap.
And this is the action list that we give to Reynolds family. So first, the Reynolds are to review the insurance plan and return with any questions within 4 weeks. And after referral to insurance specialist within 2 weeks, we're going to be offer acceptance of insurance plan blocked by the Reynolds family. And third, the Reynolds are to set up meeting with insurance specialist to review all the insurance plan. And then the Reynolds are to review the insurance plan with insurance specialist in that meeting. And then we have to decide what insurance plan recommendation will be implemented within 4 weeks. Then update or accepted insurance recommendation within 3 months of insurance plan completion. And lastly, apply and schedule physical for life and disability insurance.
The other question I have is, did you consider long-term disability versus short-term disability in your considerations?
Well, because they had no disability, short and long-term should be considered. It should be something that they should have. But in terms of specifically considering it, we looked at it, and that's what we kind of did.
Thank you much. That was a great presentation.
Harry, it looks like you have a question.
Yeah, I do. And first of all, let me just say, I really enjoyed the presentation, the way all 4 members were able to team up. That was really well rehearsed and well done, guys. I do have a question about the life insurance. You recommended $700K a term for Luke, $500 for Joanne, and then a $2 million, I think you said universal permanent policy on Luke. And a couple questions I have is how'd you come up with those numbers? And second of all, why did you pick the universal over, say, a full life?
Well, what we figured in terms of a hard number, was we took the current rates, interest rates on, I believe it was the bonds, I forget what it was that we looked at, as far as a income generation vehicle. So we took an amount and did basically a time value of money calculation stating, okay, this is the amount of income we need to replace at the very minimum, so this is the coverage that we need according to the current economy, the current interest rate, and the time value of money calculation that we did.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, if not, then I want to thank all the groups for the presentations tonight. I thought it was a great start to our 7-week journey to writing the comprehensive plan, and I hope everyone enjoyed the presentations as much as I did.